In the news now is an article that follows on the previous video that I put out, wherein I said that Premier Alan Winde will do everything to implement and use these new recommendations from the National Coronavirus Command Council to ruin the festive season, because this is what the DA is good at, this is what Alan Winde is good at, and this is what Anton Bredell is good at. When none of these people are medical experts, they will trust any idiot out there and they will just implement things. They don't deserve the positions they are in, and it shows the DA's incompetence, absolute incompetence in running a province. But let's continue, and this should let the people on the garden routes hair stand on end. I know many of them. I really feel sorry for the people because of the circumstances we find ourselves under now, with a bunch of buffoons actually running the province. And the headline in News 24, and like I said, the previous article was scarcely done when this one came out, and I knew that the DA, because they New World Order heavy, wouldn't take long before they jump on the bandwagon. Garden route public events halted, venues to close due to COVID-19 surge. And that's a very broad statement, but it gets into a bit more detail. Public events have been scrapped in parts of the garden route to prevent the spread of COVID-19 over the festive season. In the George and Kannaland municipalities, public venues and sporting grounds have been closed. The closure come after Western Cape Premier Alan Winde said large indoor events were contributing to the increase in COVID-19 cases. So he goes and he makes a statement. I wonder if he's a medical doctor. Whether he thinks he's a medical doctor. He makes a statement that the COVID-19 cases are increasing. I want him to prove, firstly, that the cases he speaks of is COVID-19. And the second thing I want him to prove is that there's a novel SARS-CoV-2 virus that's the cause of the so-called COVID-19 cases that he speaks of. Large public events will be scrapped in some parts of the Western Cape in an attempt to control surging COVID-19 figures. So figures are surging, figures, numbers. I want evidence. If you want to restrict me, I live in the Western Cape. I live in the Cape Town Metro. I want you, Alan Winde, to prove to me why you want to put these curfews and whatnot on me and close all of these venues. I want you to please tell me why. Large public events will be scrapped in some parts of the Western Cape in an attempt to control surging COVID-19 figures. Events in the garden route will be prohibited until further notice, and public facilities and venues will be closed to the public, said Minister of Local Government, Environmental Affairs and Development Planning Anton Bredell. The man is an absolute New World Order stooge. He also signed off on the smart city still to be built, called West Cape, which is within the Coburg exclusion zone. So Coburg is a huge problem to these people. They want to shut it down to build this smart city that Anton Bredell signed off. You will remember me, Mr. Anton Bredell. And I hope we rub shoulders in future so I can tell you what I think of what you're doing. The region is seeing increases in COVID-19 infections. You can't be infected by COVID-19. You can be infected by a virus. These people are idiots. In addition, there is an expectation of large numbers of visitors over the next few weeks. Well, if you kill the economy, they won't be able to freaking travel to begin with, which further increases the risk of infection. This requires drastic action, which we're not afraid to take. You know, Biden gets elected and these New World Order stooges jump on the bandwagon. I told you it would happen. The George municipality has closed all sports facilities and public venues. All events in George have been cancelled and venues are unavailable for events. The Kannaland municipality has followed suit and closed all facilities, including town halls. This is the DA at work, people. This is purely the Democratic Alliance. When I spoke about lockdowns before with regards to President Cyril Ramaphosa, I was speaking about the ANC and the ANC councillors and them not being able to afford messing around with the elections next year. But you see, most of the crowd that support the DA are seemingly now the extreme leftist clan that believe all this nonsense. Municipal guidelines for camping facilities and venues catering to holiday makers are also being formulated, and enforcement operations to ensure compliance at taverns, fuel stations on major routes and mass transportation hubs will continue. The last time I traveled up the Garden Route, I said how many speeding cameras there were along the way. I mean, these people were really trying to cash in. 5 in a short 2-hour trip. 5 speeding cameras and roadblocks. So prepare for that this festive season on the Garden Route. They are trying to absolutely kill the business, and they believe that the voters will vote for them in future. You are idiots. Times are changing. The COVID pandemic is not a sprint, it is a marathon, they say. We are all in this marathon together, and if we all work together, more of us will reach the end of this pandemic, and certainly much sooner. If we don't work together in the coming weeks, we may see the situation get increasingly worse, said Bradell. Based on what? This guy is a complete and utter nincompoop. Indoor gatherings driving spread. The measures taken to reduce the spread of the virus in the Garden Route comes after statements by Western Cape Premier Alan Windey. The only wind is the one that comes out the back. That indoor gatherings have been a driver of the resurgence in cases. Our surveillance teams, people, take note, have tracked many cluster outbreaks to indoor gatherings of people as the virus spreads quicker in confined spaces when there is poor ventilation. The number of people permitted to gather indoors is currently at 250. It's too high, and this needs to be reconsidered for specific hotspots where the virus is spreading fast, he said. So people will just cram less people into smaller spaces. You are a buffoon. You're not thinking about human behavior because you don't understand it. Because you live in a posh house, drive a posh car, and you are not in touch with what's happening on the ground. This is all about controlling people. On Tuesday, Windey said the province would be considering targeted local interventions to limit the spread of the virus, and that the provincial government was strongly against any blunt instrument like a lockdown being imposed in the Western Cape. So what does he think he's doing now? That is very blunt to certain businesses. He added that a lockdown would further damage the economy and cause major job losses. So he imposes this, but then he says, oh, but this is why we're against a lockdown. What on earth is this? We are under lockdown right now. The lockdown hasn't been lifted. We have a curfew from 12 till 4 in the morning and many other restrictions. We are under lockdown. The lockdown's not gone. We must first do everything possible through our individual and collective action to ensure the resurgence is rolled back and to prevent this tool from ever having to be used again, he said. He calls it a tool. Maybe you should call it a spanking tool. Oh, you naughty child, I will spank you now. You won't be able to do X, Y, Z. Well, I can tell you, over the festive season, the people are not going to care about what you say. Because you're an insignificant fool. That is what you are. If you have not subscribed to this channel, please subscribe. Click the bell icon so you can get notifications on future videos. I'm really upset right now. I know many people on the Garden Route that are going to suffer because of this nonsense. People have a right to take the risks they want to. If you don't want to get infected, freaking wear a mask or stay at home. The other people that want to move around, let them move around. You don't have a right to tell people how to live their lives. You will be punished for this in future. Watch this space. Thank you very much. Till the next video.